All right, last one, dividing decimals. In some terms we do not want to forget about are quotient, dividend, divisor, remainder, and then obviously fraction, because that's how you're writing your remainder. So the rules that we're going to follow when dividing with a decimal point in the dividend only, you move the decimal point straight up in the quotient. So just real quick, if I had 3.4 divided by 2, I'm going to put it straight up in my quotient. When dividing with a decimal point in the divisor, you need to make it a whole number before you can divide. You can do this by moving the decimal point so many places, or the number of zeros in the multiple of 10 to the right. And so if I had my 3.4 divided by 2.1, I would move it one place here to multiply by 10 to make it a whole number, and then one place here. And so then when I take my decimal point, it would be back here. And so using that tool or rule to help you solve division examples. So I have 159 and 8/10 divided by 47. So I know it's not going to go into here and here. And so 3 is the number of times 47 goes into 159. I'm going to bring my decimal point straight up. I get 141, which gives me 188 once I bring my 8 down. And then that goes in there 4 times. 22 and 68/100 divided by 2 and 7/10. Move my decimal point one place each direction, put it straight up in my quotient. I know it's not going to go here and here, so it goes 8 times, which gives me 216. Bring down my 8, and it goes in there 4 times evenly to come out as 8 and 4/10. The last one, I have 7,560 divided by 5.25, or 5 and 25/100. Well, I would move it 2 places. So that means I got to take this decimal point and move it 2 places and add zeros to get all of my whole numbers. Decimal point comes straight up. Well, 525 goes into 756 one time, because I know it won't go here and here. So 5, 2, 5. I get 2, 3, 1. Bring down my 0. I know that it goes in 4 times to give me 2100. So I get 2, 1, 0. Bring down this 0. So it's going to go in 4 times. And I know that this all ends up subtracting to be 0. So I bring this down. And because there's this 0 here, I brought it down. 525 does not go into 0, so I have to make sure I put a 0 up in my quotient. And that would be my final answer, is 1,440. So one other thing I want to talk about real quick that I'm going to put into your assignment is Mr. DL, which is a mnemonic device to remember multiplying and dividing with zeros. We're all pretty familiar with multiplying and dividing with zeros, but so when we multiply, we move to the right, the decimal point, and when we divide, we move to the left, the decimal point. So just a couple with zeros. 8 times 4 is 40. So I'm going to write that down, and then I'm going to add my 3 zeros. This is one of the numbers that a lot of people mess up because they know it's 40, so they put 40 down, but then they only think I need to add 2 zeros for maybe these two here. But in reality, we got to make sure we add all 3. Next one, 6 times 4 is 24. And now I need to add 5 zeros. Put my commas in, 2,400,000. And now the decimal. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So I have 100,000. And I'm moving my decimal point to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my decimal point would actually go here. So 1, 5, 5, 0, 8, 1.0, or you don't even need to add the 0.0. That would be my final answer. When dividing, we don't need to write out a full division problem. I just need to move my decimal point. So if I divide by 10, my final answer is 5 and 55 hundredths. This is something that can be super helpful when trying to figure out a tip at a restaurant or sales tax, or you could think of discount. So if I'm dividing by 1,000 here, 1, 2, 3, so here's my decimal point, and I need to make sure I fill these other places in with zeros. So my final answer actually ends up being 1/10,000. And lastly, 3 times, 1, 2, 3. So 42/10,000ths ends up being my final answer. So use this trick or tool to help you with your assignment, and make sure you are moving your decimal point when you are dividing decimals.